Alright guys, for the first round, my opponent's first Pokemon is going to be a Togekiss. Togekiss being a fairy type Pokemon and having access to flying type moves, that is a very good start for us because we are going to be resisting that due to Empoleon being a water and steel type Pokemon. My opponent does make a swap onto a Swampert next, but I do decide to stick the one-on-one against Empoleon against Swampert because although Mudshot is going to be doing super effective damage, his Hydro Cannon we are going to be resisting due to water types being not very effective against steel types, and if we do have to throw in a shield, it is going to be worth it because this Hydro Cannon will be doing more than half health against my opponent's Togekiss, so it is going to be beneficial for us to actually throw in the shield so my Empoleon doesn't actually faint. I do have one shield left and my opponent does make a swap onto Roserade. I do mistakenly throw in the Hydro Cannon instead of throwing in the Drill Peck actually. Drill Peck being a flying type charge move and flying types being super effective against grass types. It is going to be doing way more damage of course, but my Hydro Cannon is going to be resisted due to water types being not very effective against grass types. So there is either one or two choices I can make. I do know that Roserade having access to Weather Ball will be doing a good amount of damage against my Gengar, and I will probably have to throw in my final shield. But Cresselia on the other hand, although his Psycho Cut is very weak, Psycho Cut is going to be doing super effective damage against my opponent due to Psychic types being super effective against poison types, and that Togekiss is going to be coming out, so I do allow my own Gengar to come out. Gengar being a poison and ghost type Pokemon, we are going to be resisting those fairy type moves. Due to fairy types being not very effective against poison types, a Shadow Punch is going to be going through. We do get my opponent's first shield there. And as you guys see, my Gengar is actually doing more damage than my opponent's Togekiss on my own Gengar. I do just have to get to that Excellent because there may be that one chance where my opponent does decide not to throw any shield, or I do just have to charge my charge move to max. Both of us are the same amount of health basically, but my Shadow Punch is actually charged up. But the health of my opponent is that it wouldn't be very beneficial to actually throw in my shield here, because I do know that one Moonblast will be able to faint my opponent's Togekiss, so I do just decide to make that swap out into my Cresselia and then go for the hard farm down with Psycho Cut. If that Togekiss did have more health, that would have been very bad, but I do decide to throw in my final shield here because I do know that none of my opponent's Roserades move, like Grass Knot or Weather Ball. It won't do enough damage to actually faint my own Cresselia. Moonblast is charged up, and although it is going to be resisted to fairy types being not very effective against poison types, I do know that it is going to be doing enough damage, allowing us to win the first round. Good game to our opponent. Alright guys, for the second round, my opponent's first Pokemon is going to be another Togekiss. So that is going to be a very nice start, just like I said on the first round, but my opponent does make a swap out into Lucario. So Lucario being a fighting and steel type Pokemon, we are going to be resisting those fighting type moves to fighting types being not very effective against ghost types. But I do know that my opponent's Lucario does have access to many moves, including Power Up Punch and Shadow Ball, both of which can do a good amount of damage. Power Up Punch, although we are going to be resisting, it can be used as a very nice shield bait. So then I will have to throw in my shield here. If he does throw in the Power Up Punch and then the Shadow Ball, if this is going to be a Power Up Punch, which is, I do expect his second charge move to actually be a Shadow Ball, and I do know that he did get the shield bait off, so both of us do have 0 shields left, but it still is okay because my Gengar will be able to go for the farm down on my opponent's Lucario and just charge up closer to that Shadow Ball, which will most likely do enough damage for my Gengar to actually farm any of my opponent's Pokemon down. But my opponent does make a swap onto Togekiss. That is perfect because I know that Shadow Ball is going to be doing a bunch of damage, allowing my own Gengar to actually go for the farm down. My opponent's final Pokemon is going to be an Emboar being a fighting and fire type Pokemon. I do know that my Empoleon will be doing very good against him because water types will be doing super effective damage against fire types. My Hydro Cannon is charged up. I do have to get to the Excellent to get that instant faint, and because of that, it did allow us to win the second round. Good game to our opponent. For the third round, my opponent's first Pokemon is going to be an Ampharos. Ampharos being an electric type Pokemon, he is going to be doing super effective damage, of course, due to electric types being super effective against water types. So I do have to throw in my first shield. I do know that Hydro Cannon is going to be doing enough damage for either my Gengar or my Cresselia to actually take them out. But I do know that since these electric types are doing super effective damage, I do have to make that swap onto my safe swap, which is going to be that Cresselia. Cresselia is very tanky, so whatever my opponent does make a swap out into, it will probably not do enough damage for a long time to actually faint my own Cresselia. But my opponent does get to another Thunder Punch. I do know that it is not going to be doing enough damage, as I said, and my opponent does make a swap onto a Roserade. Roserade being a grass and poison type Pokemon, Ice-Cut is going to be doing super effective damage, but a Moonblast is going to be resisted due to fairy types being not very effective against poison types, as you guys saw there. I do want my Cresselia to do at least more than half damage or half of my opponent's health, but it does seem like my Cresselia is going to be able to do that. After my Cresselia does actually faint, I am going to be making a swap onto my Gengar so that I can get ahead on energy, charge up to that Shadow Punch, so that Ampharos can actually go down, and then my Empoleon will not have to worry about anything, because this Roserade is actually because I won't even have to worry about that Roserade, and there are going to be no counters against my own Empoleon right there. But I do have one shield left. We do get hit by a Sludge Bomb, so my Cresselia is going to be going down. And like I said before, I am going to be making that swap onto my Gengar, possibly charge all the way up to actually a Shadow Ball or a Shadow Punch to actually get the instant faint on that Ampharos. But I am going to have to throw in a shield here, because Weather Ball is probably going to do at least half damage against my Gengar. Gengar is pretty glassy, but my opponent does make a swap onto Swampert. That still is going to be okay, because if the Shadow Ball is going to be going through, I am going to be making a swap out into my Empoleon and actually going for the hard farm down, because I do know that Waterfall will charge my Hydro Cannon fast enough, so then my Hydro Cannon will actually be ready for my opponent's Ampharos, and Ampharos is definitely going to be going down after one more Waterfall hit, after getting hit by that Hydro Cannon. Since my opponent does have 0 shields, I do know that this is going to be an instant faint against my opponent. He does actually decide to go for the charge move bait with that Roserade, but my Hydro Cannon is charged up, and now this Ampharos is going to be going down after possibly one more Waterfall. After this Hydro Cannon is going to be going through, as you guys saw there, actually 2 more Waterfalls, and because of that did allow us to in the third round green to our opponent. For the fourth round, my opponent's first Pokemon is going to be Charizard. Charizard being a fire and flying type Pokemon, that was perfect, especially since my opponent's Charizard did have Dragon Breath instead of Fire Spin. That was very good for my Empoleon. So off the bat, I do know that I already have one counter against my opponent's team, but since he did make a swap out into a Venusaur, I do know that my Gengar is going to be double resisting my opponent's Venusaur due to Venusaur having access to grass and poison type moves. Grass types and poison types will be doing not very effective damage against poison types, and all of my ghost moves are going to be doing a good amount of damage. I do know that although we are going to be resisting all of those charge moves, a Frenzy Plant is still going to be doing a good amount of damage, so I do just have to throw my first shield there. My Shadow Punch is going to be charging up. We do have to get through the Excellent once again, and right here there's a bit of lag, but that Shadow Punch is going to be going through and allowing us to get the instant faint against my opponent's Venusaur. If my opponent did decide to go for the hard farm down here, I do know that my Shadow Punch would have definitely been charged up. As you guys saw there, only one Shadow Claw more, and then that Shadow Punch would have been charged up. But once again, since Charizard being a fire and flying type Pokemon, I do know that this Hydro Cannon will get an instant fate, but he may actually decide to throw in his shield here, because a Blast Burn will definitely do enough damage against my Empoleon and possibly allow his final Pokemon to actually come in and go for the hard farm down. It does actually seem that my Empoleon did actually farm my opponent's Charizard down. That was very unfortunate for him, because he was probably planning on getting to something like an Overheat or a Blast Burn that would have been doing a good amount of damage against my Empoleon, but my opponent's final Pokemon is going to be a Lapras. Lapras is very tanky, and I don't actually have counters against the Lapras, but I do know that I am still going to be winning because we are going to be double resisting my opponent's moves with my Empoleon, and my Cresselia is going to be tanky enough to actually withstand all of those charge moves. But I am going to be skipping this because Lapras is once again very tanky, but this Lapras is the only Pokemon left, and my own Pokemon are actually going to be able to feint him, allowing us to win the 4th round. Good game to our opponent. Alright guys, for the 5th and final round, my opponent's first Pokemon is going to be a Venusaur. So this is going to be a pretty even start because Empoleon having access to Drill Peck being a flying type charge move, will be doing super effective damage against my opponent's Venusaur due to flying types being super effective against grass types. My opponent does actually get to his Frenzy Plan before my Empoleon there, but my Drill Peck is once again charged up. We do have to get to that Excellent because I do know that it will do half health at most. We do get my opponent's first shield, and from there I do decide to make a swap out into my Gengar. Gengar, once again being a ghost and poison type Pokemon, we are going to be resisting all of my opponent's grass and poison type moves. Right here I do decide not to throw any shield because once again we are going to be resisting it, and my opponent does actually decide to throw any Sludge Bomb. I do know that Frenzy Plant is still going to be doing more damage, but my opponent does make a swap onto Swampert. Swampert being a water and ground type Pokemon, this Shadow Ball is still going to be doing a good amount of neutral damage, but my opponent's Mud Shot is going to be doing super effective damage against us due to ground types being super effective against poison types. Shadow Punch, we are able to get to the Excellent, and from here, from the health that my opponent's Swampert is at, I do know that it is going to be safe for my Empoleon to maybe come out and go for the hard farm down with his Waterfall. And if I am able to charge up to enough Drill Pecks, it is going to be doing super effective damage against my opponent's Venusaur, even possibly baiting him or allowing my Cresselia to come in and go for the hard farm down. So we are going to be getting hit by a Hydro Cannon there. We are going to be resisting it due to water types being not very effective against water types, but since Swampert is a water and ground type Pokemon, water types will be doing super effective damage against ground types, and a Charizard with Air Slash is actually going to be coming out. Air Slash is a pretty strong fast move for Charizards, especially because they do make a Charizard charge up pretty fast, but while still doing a good amount of damage. Fire Spin, I am pretty sure it is still stronger, but if you don't actually have the fast TMs and you do land on the Air Slash, it still is going to be pretty good. But that Venusaur is going to be coming out, and then instead of actually allowing my Empoleon to actually waterfall him down, I did decide to make a swap onto my Cresselia, farm that Venusaur down, so then I will be closer to getting to that Moonblast, which is going to be doing not very effective damage against my opponent's Charizard. But I do know that 2 Moonblasts from the health that my Charizard is at, or the health that my opponent's Charizard is at, I do know that 2 Moonblast will definitely be able to feint my opponents right there. Possibly even Psycho Cut him down. My opponent does get to another charge move. I did decide to throw in my first shield, or my final shield here. I do know that any of my opponent's Charizard's charge moves will not be able to feint my own Cresselia. I do know that, but my opponent's Charizard is very low, and low enough for my Cresselia to actually Psycho Cut him down, allowing us to win the final round. Good game to our opponent.